Stella Rose watermelon. All right. Hey guys, this is Bruce. Welcome to ConvoCourses podcast. And today I'm gonna do a little something different because I got some work to do, and I'm just gonna go ahead and start recording something I'm working on here. It's an update to an SCA course that I have, and I'm just gonna record. I figure I might as well just go ahead and do this live. I might as well go ahead and record how I do this live while I train and just show you and also show everybody. All right. So what I'm going to do is talk about how SCAs are done. And SCA, for those who don't know, is a security control assessment, also known in the industry as an audit and an IT audit. I've been through quite a few of these. I've been on the receiving end of it, and I've also been the person who administers it. I've done self-assessments before. And what I want to do is, before we get started in our normal session of opening this up to everybody, asking questions and stuff, and having a conversation, which is what this is all about, I want to talk about what happens in a real world assessment. Now, I've done it in Department of Defense, I've done it in different parts of the federal government, and I've done it in the private sector. And it's, although they have different names and slightly different things they'll look at, it's overall it's pretty much the same thing. So if you have a good idea of how this goes, then no matter where you go, you'll have a really good idea of what to do. So, and let's just get into this. So, what happens during a security control assessment? Let me just kind of run you through it. So, security control assessment number one is to make sure that all the security controls are in place, because it's one thing to install them and implement them, but it's a whole other thing to know whether or not they were effectively implemented. So what normally happens is you have a preparation phase to your SCA whenever you have these assessments. And this is normally to allow the organization to figure out how they're what's the scope of the assessment. So they'll have things like a questionnaire, or they'll have like a bunch of requests of what they need from you, what the assessor needs from you. As an assessor, if you're the assessor, you have to reach out to the organization to say, I need system details. What is your system about? I need things like, what's the risk level? I need things like a list of all the users and what types of users, what roles. I need an assessment inventory. I need your most recent scan. I need to see your most recent firewall updates or some. It just depends on the scope of the assessment. So the questions will be based off of what type of assessment you're going to do. Because if it's an application scan, application assessment, you will need to know, okay, well, I need your source code. We need to see if we can get your source code so we can take a look at the most recent and the old source code, or your source code libraries. We need access to that. We need to know who are our points of contact, things like that. So when you're scoping this out, you need to know all the information: who, what, when, where, and why. Before you even start anything, you need to know if you can get there, what sites to go to, all that kind of stuff. So that's normally what happens, whether you're in the Department of Defense or you're in a different federal department, private sector. All of them have to do the same thing. If you think about it, it makes a lot of sense. And you have to get approval to do this. Like, you can't just show up at a site and start doing scans, right? Even if you have nowhere to go, what sites to hit or whatever, you have to have a formal method of saying, getting it signed off and saying, this is what we're going to do. Here's the requirements, and getting it signed off by the head of agency. So there's different things that's going to be in this document. It's going to be things like, what's the purpose, what are the a general idea of when we can do the assessment, key stakeholders. You're not in the details yet, but there's certain things you need to know that's going to be formally documented first. And that's going to look a little bit like this. Let me give you an example of what that looks like. I have like a little template that you normally see in these things. So it'll look a little bit like this. So it'll just be a memo that's going through. It's going to have the system name, what owners, points of contact, what are the methods we're going to use, and it's a very over it's an overview of what you're going to do. It's not exact yet. You're going to do that when you get to the what's called a SAP, a security assessment plan. That's when you go into full blown detail. But right now, you've got the scoping. You kind of have an idea what you want to do, what place you want to hit, and you got to get formal approval. And that's what this memo is all about. So it kind of, it just looks like that.